Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we're going to talk all about going back to the office nonsense that is happening with the industry here. So I'm not against going back to the office. Many people have asked me this. I'm willing to go back under specific conditions, and if we have reasonings, and I don't know, it seems more productive to go back in some senses. And if we go back a few days a week, which is what I was working before the pandemic, I see pros and cons to this, so I have no issue going back a few days a week. So just to kind of give you the perspective here, what we're coming at, I've been seeing internally where I work, I've been talking to friends and colleagues at different banks around the industry, trying to get a sample of what is going on here. And what we see here is that a lot of banks are actually saying one thing and doing something else. It looks great in the media, right? Morgan Stanley got a bunch of backlash for basically threatening employees, saying if you're not back in the office by this date, there will be like basically strong conversations or other things that will happen, kind of implying that like, I don't know, they're going to do something bad to you if you don't come back. Unprofessional on their end. But what I'm seeing is banks are saying, oh, we're going to come back to the office 2 to 3 days a week. Employees are saying, okay, this seems reasonable, right? 2 to 3 days a week it's doable. It sounds okay. And then behind closed doors, we're now getting emails, it looks like, from a variety of different companies, right? All these, I'm not going to say which ones, but a lot of them now are coming back and saying, okay, well, we said 2 to 3 days a week. We want at minimum 3 days a week. We prefer you're in the office 4 days a week. Some offices prefer 5 days a week. And so they're kind of using their culture and company dynamics and management and promotion schedules, perhaps, to kind of like force people to come back more because they want you to come back 5 days a week, but they don't want to say that. And I've talked to a variety of different banks as well, and it seems like we're actually seeing an increase in productivity across a lot of banks from working from home. So I don't see a lot of reason why we should just be running back to the office per se here. Now, the argument being, if you come back to the office, there are specific things you can do in teams and groups and meetings that you cannot do over video call as efficiently. So as a quant, one of my favorite things to do is when we have in-depth, detailed analytical discussions is getting out like a pen, right, going on the whiteboard, writing out math and equations and drawing things out and like arguing and discussing things with my colleagues and figuring out how things actually work. So you can't do that, right, online as easily. You can still do it. Trust me, I've done it, but it's just not as easy to do it versus in person. So I get going back to the office, right? I want to go back and see some of my colleagues, have lunch with them. There are things like that. But now we come to the nonsense with which a lot of these banks and institutions are doing, again, outside of banking as well. So now let's go through some of these ridiculous rules. The first one's going to be, you can sit at your desk and have no mask on, but you have to have a mask on. Now, if you're vaccinated and now if you're not vaccinated, it sounds like they're kind of pushing for both. If you leave your desk, you have to have a mask for some reason. I don't know. If you're vaccinated, right, and the vaccine works and you believe in the science behind it, you shouldn't need a mask. I don't know why this is being pushed. The other issue here is going to be that we have to have 6 feet apart between desks. Okay, I get it. You're not wearing masks in general at your desk, so that's okay. And then the other nonsensical thing is we are not allowed basically to eat lunch together. Right? So as I mentioned, this is one of the reasons I want to go back. But now we're saying in break rooms and lunchrooms at all these different banks and firms, a lot of them are saying you cannot sit next to your colleagues and have lunch. You have to be 6 feet apart. Well, this is dumb, right? Because what am I going to do? I'm going to go out to lunch at a restaurant. We're going to go somewhere else and eat, right? I mean, I get they're trying to legally protect themselves, but just man up and say like, we're basically cowards and we don't want to do this the right way. We don't want to be honest and straightforward with you. We don't really believe in the vaccine. We don't believe in any of the science that's coming out. We don't believe in the CDC. We don't believe in anything. We're terrified of being sued. And at that point, right, why not everyone just keep working from home? Why are we playing these shenanigans here? So again, we can't sit next to each other at breaks. Now, when we have meetings and meeting rooms, we have the same nonsensical stuff here, okay? So we have to be at 6 feet apart at all times in a meeting with or without a mask. Again, I'm not sure what's the advantage then of me sitting on a computer and chatting with you face to face on a computer versus actually going into the office if I have to be 6 feet away. And you might argue now from my perspective and say, okay, well, you want to write on the whiteboard or the chalkboard or whatever you have, right? So you could do that. Well, you can take notes on a computer screen. You could just literally buy a tablet. So I have a notepad actually that plugs in, and I could actually write out math and show it on the screen, and we can do all that, right? It's just a little bit of an advancement in technology, which would be a lot more efficient. The other stuff we're seeing now is that people are no longer going to have desks because you're going to be in the office a few days a week. This just seems, again, you're saving costs. You want to take advantage of working from home. I kind of get it. For quants here, so I have my books here. I don't have any right next to me, but for all these textbooks that I have, I'm not carrying 5 textbooks or something to work every day. So if I don't get a permanent desk, right, and I'm a quant, again, banks never consider, firms never consider quants. We're just lowly people on the totem pole here. But they don't consider the fact that I need all these textbooks for references and papers and like tying things together. And then I can reference them and people can't say, oh, it's an opinion, right? It's in a textbook that's academically backed and, it's by a good publisher and all this other stuff. So again, I'm not carrying all this to work. So I don't have a desk anymore. And they say, okay, no, you get a locker though. But you can't leave your stuff in the locker because we're all sharing lockers. And so then therefore, right, I don't get this again here, right? So I'm sharing a locker with a bunch of random people and sharing a desk with a bunch of random people, which again, now we're bringing into contact here. So if you think the disease is going to spread, this just doesn't seem like a logical perspective here again. So now we're sharing desks, sharing lockers. Now I'm killing my back carrying all of my work. Or I could just say, I'm not going to bring any textbooks. I'm just not going to work in the office, which I think a lot of people are going to do. They're going to come to the office. They're going to socialize. They're going to hang out. They're going to break all the rules, right? They're not going to not have lunch with colleagues. When they have meetings, they're actually going to be in the same room, less than 6 feet apart, because it's a meeting room, right? You're sitting at a table with people. And so we're all going to kind of be together here. So I'm looking at this again thinking like, so you're forcing everybody to go back to work, all these different banks and all these different firms and like institutions here in different industries. And we're going to go back and we're going to stand so far apart that it would have been more efficient and more intimate and more productive to be on a computer than actually be in person. Like, I just don't get what is the advantage here. Like, literally, you need to figure out what you're doing here. Where's the cost savings? If you're going to have meetings, have productive meetings, bring everyone together, believe in the vaccine or believe in masks, right? This should be a thing. But if you don't and you're terrified and you're not willing to take on that risk somewhat, right? Again, it's personal decision as well, individuals, which take on some of the liability here. Why not just, bring everybody back if they want to come back, or a more creative solution would be just come back for meetings. So this is something I've seen at a few other banks as well. So we've talked about the majority here. There are a few banks which are doing flex scheduling in a more reasonable way. So how are they doing this? One, if you have meetings face-to-face, you want to get to know people, they're going to be having people just come in like 1 day a week for all their meetings, do all the meetings, maybe 2 days a week, depending how many meetings you have, get them over with, and then you go back home and actually work. I think this is a great idea. This is how I work normally. I like to schedule all of my meetings stacked in a day, so I waste basically an entire day doing meetings. And then I get back to work and get all of my work done. So I think this is a much better plan here. Again, I don't think they should be mandating 6 feet apart and all this like hand wavy stuff of like we're pretending like the virus is still super, super strong. And we're pretending the vaccine doesn't work, and we're pretending that masks don't work. And if that's the case, if you believe they don't work and you're concerned of being sued, just let everyone work from home. Like, this has been working for over a year. So these are my 2 cents. These are my takes, guys. I'm not going to get in too much on vaccine, non-vaccine, all that. It's all your personal decision. Make the decision as you will. Look at the science. Look at the recommendations. Be careful who you listen to. Not everybody has been following the science, even though they say they have. So anyways, thanks for watching. And as always, until next time.